I'm Leah Lane, an award-winning travel writer and author of Places I Remember, Tales, Truths, Delights from 100 Countries. On this podcast, we share conversations with travelers about fascinating destinations and memorable experiences around the world. Our guest today is Marian Goldberg. She was the Japan National Tourism Organization's public relations manager for the Americas for 11 years. She's traveled to Japan 43 times and is one of America's foremost media and marketing authorities on travel to Japan. Welcome, Marian.
Welcome. Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
It's lovely to have you and to talk about one of the most beautiful countries in the world. On this episode, we're going to focus on some of the unique escapes in Japan, from calming retreats to exciting adventures. I think we need that right now very much. So let's start. I know you love visiting Buddhist temples. Tell us about that.
Well, I want to say something about Buddhist temples uh, and 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 Shinto shrines, because a lot of people don't know the difference. They don't know the difference between a shrine or a temple. So the temples are in fact Buddhist and the shrines are Shinto, but in many cases, the Shinto shrines can actually be on a Buddhist temple complex. There are certain shrines that are not, and those are some of the larger ones, such as Meiji Shrine in Tokyo, which is in its own private garden. You walk along a path through almost a wilderness area until you reach the shrine itself. Um, there's something really calming about going there. The way the trees and the flowers and the plants are all manicured perfectly. The way the rocks are raked, and just walking through the landscape, just is hearing the wind rustle on the trees is very calming.
I know
And yeah.
Shintoism is called nature's religion or nature religion, correct?
Right. So that's another thing is that they believe that the everything in nature has kind of like a soul, a kami, and it kind of comes alive, and it's the importance of nature, and it's really kind of beautiful.
Tell me about something I'm really intrigued about. It's called forest bathing. What is that?
So So it's actually when you walk out into the forest and you can actually feel the energy of the forest and kind of bathe yourself in the feeling of being in that nature.
So it's the senses, like the sound of the birds, the smell of the trees,
Yes.
that sort of thing. I think you can do that anywhere, really. It would be a very good thing to do as a calming thing. How
Yes.
about the hiking with the mountain monks? I've heard of that. Is that
Okay.
related?
So the Yabasame, the mountain monks, they're very prevalent in an area called Yamagata, which is in northern Honshu, but there are other places in Japan, such as Nikko, such as the rural areas of Nara Prefecture in western Japan and Kansai region, and they're very spiritual. They'll blow the sound of the conch shell, and you can walk along a pilgrimage with them. They're, especially in Yamagata, they have several day long hikes that you can actually take with these mountain monks.
There's 3 mountains, correct? They go over
During
3.
that hike, yes, during the
Yes.
one in Yamagata, correct.
Yes, I know it's one of the longest, one of the oldest hikes ever. It's about 1,400 years old. I
Right.
heard that, and I would love to do that. Well, if you take a hike, how about a bath, a hot spring bath? That's up there in the
Mm.
volcanic mountains.
Well, you can take, Japan is a volcanic, made up of many volcanic islands. I mean, there's seismic activity throughout all of the islands, and because of that, there's a lot of hot springs, and um, you many times people will go into a hotel and enjoy a hot spring bath within the hotel or ryokan, the Japanese style inn. But there are also hot springs out in the mountains, and I remember when my kids were little, my son was he was just 4 years old, and we had gone on a Japan East Rail Pass, which is just available for the Eastern Japan and Eastern Honshu. And we went really far north, and we came to a place where got to go to a hot spring bath, and it had been it hadn't snowed yet. It was in December, but that night that we stayed at the inn, it snowed. And the next morning we got to take the hot spring bath outside. So an outside bath is called a rotenboro. And we got to go to the outside bath in the snow. And because my son was little, I took him with me with the women. And he was kicking and screaming. He didn't want to go outside naked. It was cold outside. And I was carrying him, and he was biting my arm. And I put him into the tub, and there was all these naked women in the tub. And then he just, as soon as he gets into the hot tub, he just gets really quiet.
It sounds like a fantasy. I think many men would dream of that one.
And
Um,
all the Japanese women in the tub started laughing,
right. It's
covering their
very,
mouths and laughing.
very cute. Up there in that area, there are Buddhist temple stays where you can stay in a temple inn. Is that correct?
Well, you can find temple stays in various parts of Japan. In Western Japan, in Wakayama Prefecture, there is a place called Mount Koya, or Koyasan, and that's supposed to be a very um, uh, mythic and important historic religious experience. I've actually been there, and you go from Osaka, and you take a train, and then another train, and then and then to getting to a mountain train, and then a bus up to the top top area of the mountains. And it's this in the I don't know if you want to call it a city, or the town of Mount Koya is filled with so many Buddhist temples, and all of them are called are open. Most of them are open to the public, for people to stay overnight. It's called a shakubo, and you stay overnight, and you have experiences with the monks themselves. You write sutra in the morning, you meditate, you eat vegetarian Buddhist cuisine with the monks. And you have a complete immersive experience. You spend the day, you can walk around the town, go from temple to temple. A lot of them are very almost like museums with the different artifacts that they have, and it's just so relaxing and
Sounds
uplifting.
delicious. Are the lodgings similar to ryokans, where there are sliding doors and tatami floors and that kind of thing?
Yeah, some of the accommodations are more modest, and some of them are more luxurious. It depends what you pay to stay. But yes, they have the tatami mat floors, and they have the area where you walk in, and you step up a little bit to and you take your shoes off before you go in. You never walk on the tatami or the wood with your shoes on. Um, and yeah, it was really a wonderful experience.
Now, I know Japan has wonderful four seasons. You mentioned that already. And so gardens are a joy. You mentioned light up festivals. What exactly is a light up festival?
So in Japan, they celebrate the seasons, as you said, and in the spring, when you have the cherry blossoms, and then some other flowers as well, um, they they may light up the areas at night. Like if you go to Kyoto at night, the streets that are lined with sakura cherry blossoms will be lit up, and it's almost like they're glowing. There's an area in Tokyo called Nakameguro, where there's a canal, and during cherry blossom season they'll light up the cherry blossoms, so it looks really beautiful. And then they do this a similar kind of thing when the leaves change in the autumn, and they'll in the gardens in Kyoto they'll light up the trees so that you can really see the different colors. And in a town called Nikko, which is about 2 hours north of Tokyo, which is very famous for Toshogu Shrine, which is the burial place of the first Tokugawa shogun Ieyasu. They have quite a number of World Heritage sites at temples and shrines, in addition to Toshogu Shrine, and they will have light ups. Renoji Temple specifically has light ups of some of the autumn flowers and the leaves, the autumn leaves.
Sounds beautiful. This isn't a garden, but I remember a beautiful walk through a bamboo forest in Kyoto where you were just in a cathedral of trees and plants, and it was just peaceful and beautiful and a wonderful memory. So that's kind of like a garden to me.
Can I
How about
mention
some
something
adventure?
about? Can I mention something about that? Okay,
Sure.
so there's this beautiful bamboo forest, bamboo walkway forest in Kyoto, but there's another bamboo forest that is in Shuzenji in Shizuoka Prefecture, and it's smaller, but it looks almost the same. But there's hardly ever anyone there, and they light that up at night as well.
Oh my. Next time. How about some adventure? What are some of the things? I know there's something called the Mishima Skywalk. I've heard about that a lot because there are many things you can do there that are very adventurous. What are some of them?
Okay, so I'll mention Mishima Skywalk. So Mishima Skywalk only opened a few years ago, but it's the long pedestrian walkway that literally is in front of Mount Fuji. So you can take the Shinkansen bullet train, the Kodama line, which is the one that makes more stops, to a town in Shizuoka Prefecture called Mishima, and then take a taxi to the skywalk area, and you take an escalator up, and you walk, literally you're walking in front of Mount Fuji. It's a magnificent
Wow.
experience. All around you the mountains, and you can see Mount Fuji so clearly, like you're right in front of it. But then also, more recently, they started adventure activities from the skywalk, so you can literally do a glide off the skywalk, bungee jump from the skywalk, to buy like a package with an adventure package, and do these adventure experiences from the skywalk right in front of Mount Fuji.
Wow. That sounds fabulous. Let's go back to some calm, though. How about a tea ceremony or flower arranging? That is one of the most peaceful, lovely things you can do. And I remember that very, very fondly.
So there are many places where you can do a tea ceremony in Japan. There are many hotels. The Keio Plaza Hotel in Tokyo actually has a tea ceremony package that you can buy, and you could book a time, and they have a tea room in the hotel. Or you can, and there are some studios where you can dress up as a maiko, which is a geisha in training, or a geisha in Kyoto and Tokyo and other places, and then often have a tea ceremony with the maiko or geiko. Geiko is the word for geisha in Kyoto. Or there's a town that's in Kyoto Prefecture called Uji, which is basically like a tea town. And you get off the train, and all you see are shops selling all kinds of tea paraphernalia and tea itself. And you can go and book a tea ceremony with what at one of the places there, and you will sit around, and they will serve you the tea. And what this is very important, when I'm trying to get this screen to, so it doesn't, when they serve you the bowl, they are looking at a beautiful tea bowl that usually has some kind of a decoration on it, and that decoration is in front of them. But when they serve you the tea, they turn it around so the decoration is in front of you, and they bow. When you drink the tea, after you're finished, you put it down, and you turn it around so the decoration is in front of them.
Interesting. Um, One of the things that's very popular today are, well, extremely popular pilgrimages. And I know there is one that's very famous with 88 stops, I believe, on it. Could you tell me a little bit about that? Because nothing is more spiritual or calming than a pilgrimage.
Okay, so there are four main islands of Japan, and the smallest of the four main islands is the south of the inland sea, where there are hundreds and hundreds of little islands, and it's absolutely spectacular view. Is the island of Shikoku, and a monk. I can't remember how many years ago it was, many years ago, uh, by the name of Kobodaichi or Kukai, came and from China and did this pilgrimage all around Shikoku and established these 88 temples. And people can do that now. They can do a part of it, or they can do it all. And there are actually some tour companies that are doing this. It's called the Henro, that particular walk, Henro, and it's great exercise too, because
Oh,
you're going
yeah.
up a lot of steps to
Oh,
get to
yeah.
some of these temples.
It's a combination of spiritual and exciting adventure. I know
Yes.
someone who did it for 2 months. He came back very fit. Let me just ask you about animals. I love animals, and I think there's something that's very special called snow monkeys. I've seen pictures, I've never seen it in person. Do they only go out in the snow? I always wonder, they look like old men with white hair when they're in the hot, in the bath. But are they there all year or
They're
just
they're
in the
they're
snow?
they're in the park in Nagano Prefecture, um, all year round. But in the wintertime, they're cold, so they go into the hot spring, and they look so cute. I'm telling you, they have little red faces. They're sweating from the heat, and there's little baby ones and adults, and they're grooming each other, and they're just so adorable.
Very cute. um, After that, I think there are other hikes that are not related to spiritual, like Buddhism or anything, but they're very beautiful. One is in a subtropical island with magnificent cedar forests. Can you tell me about that one?
Okay, so Yakushima Island, which is a natural World Heritage site, or World Heritage Island, has the oldest old growth cedars in Japan. And just walking through there, it's you can just breathe the fresh air and the moisture, and it's everything is green, and there's moss everywhere, and you're just hiking through these ancient forests, and it's a wonderful experience, up on the mountain, climbing in the mountains and through the forest. And they have guides that will take you and explain all of the vegetation there and everything else.
Yes, very lush. Someone told me that it rains 35 days a month.
Yes.
And that the trees are over 7,000 years old. So
Yes.
you really have some experience there. What about the hike between Kyoto and Tokyo? That's very famous.
Okay, so there was the old Nakasendo Road, which was or some people call it a highway, but it's not really a highway. By today's words, between Tokyo and Kyoto, and now it's kind of a post. Well, the highway is actually now the bullet train, which goes from Tokyo to Kyoto, but parallel to that, you can go through little towns and villages in different prefectures, along the Nakasendo, like Sumago and Magome, and there's lovely little machiya style traditional houses, little merchant houses, selling things, and you meet people on the way, and you have also have it within the forest, and it's actually really beautiful to do again in the autumn when the leaves are changing, especially.
Sounds
But I've known people have
great.
done it in the summer as well.
All these things sound so wonderful. I know there's a traditional style ski experience that I wanted you to talk about because it sounds really interesting. For people who like to ski, this is one that they might want to seek out.
Okay,
What
so
makes it special?
well, most people when they go to Japan, they think of the world class skiing in especially in Hokkaido, um there's a place called Niseko. In fact, just recently, just last year, the Park Hyatt Niseko opened, and so everyone thinks of Japan in terms of skiing there. But in Yamagata Prefecture, there is a place called Zao Onsen, and what they have are all these trees that have a strange phenomenon the way the wind blows, and they get covered with snow, and they look like snow monsters. And you can ski around the snow monsters. And also, there's other experiences you can take. If you don't ski, there are snowmobile rides. And during the winter, when these trees are covered and looking like snow monsters, they light them up, just
Oh my goodness.
the way they light up the flowers and the leaves and other seasons in Japan. And so you can actually just go and walk through it and have the light up experiences, or take a snowmobile
Wow.
ride
Someone mentioned also there's steam coming all around the hot springs there that have been there for many, many centuries. So you walk along in this old village with steam coming up all around you. It sounds really surreal. Sounds like a wonderful place, even if you
Yeah.
don't ski. I would just like to go there just to
Exactly. You can just go
experience it.
if you don't ski, you have the hot springs and you have the great food at the inns that you could stay at there, the ryokans. So yeah.
Wonderful. After all this hiking and skiing and all peace and all, how about some sake? I would say that would be something that a lot of people would find very, very calming. Tell me about it.
So I'm gonna talk about one place. So if you take the Nagano Shinkansen to Nagano, so it's a little over an hour from Tokyo because the bullet train is so rapid. Um, and you can get off at sorry, my apologies. It's not it's going to Niigata. So it's really further, but it goes through Nagano, but it goes to Niigata station. There you can get off there, and there is it's almost like a little sake museum at the station, and they have all these different varieties of sake kind of on tap. And you
Oh
put
my.
money in, you buy a coin, and then you put the money in, and you get a glass, and then you get a sample of the sake, whichever machine that has this. Because in Niigata there are 93 different breweries for
Oh,
sake, and they even have a sake festival every winter time. But yeah, so you can go and taste the sake right at the train station there. But also, so many sake breweries now are offering tours, so you can actually go and see the behind the scenes of how they make the sake for many generations. There's a sake in the more rural area of Tokyo called the Tama region, Ozawa Shuzo, where Mr. Ozawa, the current Mr. Ozawa, is his name is Mickey, is the 23rd generation sake brewer,
I
which
guess
we can't
sake
even
is,
imagine in this country,
I
right?
know that's very healthy. Sake keeps you healthy.
And we asked him how many times he drinks sake. He says every day.
Every day, every meal, and in
Maybe not with a
between.
meal. He just drinks it. But he was so cute and so
Well,
funny, and it was such a wonderful place to visit.
adorable. I think this is a great place to end it because I'm thinking of all the wonderful things we've gone over, and we do end with, since this is places I remember, to ask you, what would you say is your most memorable escape that you've had in Japan out of 43 times there?
So I my first time staying at a luxury ryokan. So some of the ryokan are more modest, but there was in Ishikawa Prefecture on the Japan Sea coast, about 20 minutes south of the city of Kanazawa. There's a, yeah, a place called Yamagata Onsen. Yamanaka Onsen, not to be confused with the prefecture of Yamagata. Yamanaka Onsen. There was a place called Kyotai, and this ryokan was so beautiful. And they had this outdoor Rotenboro, outdoor hot spring tub with the most magnificent view of the landscape. And the tub was so warm, and I was almost by myself. There were just a couple of other people there, and just looking out there and relaxing. And being my first time having that experience, it was just one of these wow moments. And I thought, I could do a 2-week trip to Japan, just going from hot spring to hot spring and just taking a bath every day, taking a bath in a different place.
And
And
drinking sake
I'll
as
tell
you
you
go.
I'll tell you one other thing. There's an airport in Japan. There's a couple of them that are off the coast, but the airport in Nagoya is off the coast. It's a man-made island off the coast. The one in Kansai is also off the man-made island, but this one actually has a hot spring on the roof of the airport, and all different, and you pay money. And so why after you check in, instead of hanging around and you don't know what you want to do for 2 hours before your flight, you can go take a bath and and you put your robe on, and you can walk outside, and you can actually be in your yukata robe, looking outside, watching the planes taking
Wow,
off.
it sure beats JFK. I'll take it. Thank you very much, Marian. This has been fascinating, and I think I want to go back at least one more time, if not as many as you've been. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to our award-winning podcast. We've recorded over 100 episodes of Places I Remember, so follow us on any podcast app. And new monthly episodes are also on YouTube with gorgeous video. My book, Places I Remember, is available in print and Kindle, and I read the audio version. Follow my travel writing at Forbes.com. Contact me at the links in the show notes or on my website, placesirememberlealane.com, and keep making your own travel memories.